Welcome to Hobby Ramble. I'm Addy.
Now, Matt,
And it's Halloween.
it's Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Well, it's Halloween tomorrow, but we don't work tomorrow.
Oh, no, I work tomorrow.
I don't work.
Well, we have some very exciting things that we're working on today. Matt, what did you bring?
Yeah, let's see. I have this cool, spooky, giant bone construct from Relicblade. It's made by Sean Sutter. It is maybe the biggest pewter model I've ever painted, but we're going to be painting that up today. Just lots of bones and some cloth. Try and keep it simple for me, which is the exact opposite of what you did, Addy.
Yeah, so I bought Cthulhu Death May Die a little while ago.
In May.
In May?
It may die.
It may die. Maybe I bought it in May too. I don't remember. But I'm finally getting around to painting some of the models that came in it. So so the way that I picked this is I looked through to see what the next scenario is that I haven't played yet, and picked the big monster from that isn't Cthulhu. And this is a Chthonian. It looks a little bit like an octopus with like spines sticking out of his back.
It's like spaghetti vomit with a spine.
Yes, yeah, but 3 spines. So I also wanted to try something new. One of the cool things about painting a board game is that the models don't have to be painted to the same level that you would an army. You can kind of do each one can be a one-off if you want.
That's true.
So I wanted to try the under shading with a purple and a blue, and then I'm gonna just dry brush this whole thing. They're going to be gray on some of the
We're experimenting.
Love it. So we're going to do a gray on some of the harder surfaces, and then a very fleshy red on some of the tentacles. We'll see how it comes out.
I love that.
What's everyone in chat working on? Let us know what you're doing.
Maybe you're doing spooky models. I would love. I feel like it's one of those things that is I guess I'm tiptoeing on the topic for the night, but it's one of the major genres of mini painting, mini wargaming, skirmish games, everything. There's got to be something spooky. You need to have your skeletons, you need to have your zombies, you need to have your vampires are big. You gotta have ghosts. There's so many. You gotta have these spooky things, and these are the first bone things that I have. These are the first legitimate skeletons that I have painted.
Oh, wow.
Are for Relicblade.
Really?
Paint a lot of skulls in my day. Paint a lot of bone. But these are my first skeletons proper.
Oh, that's cool. I've had 2 different skeleton armies.
Yeah.
I had vampire counts and tomb kings.
What's Juggy's monkey? Oh, juggernauts. Gotcha. They're pretty scary. Not in a spooky way, but they are scary in that they're.
Are they really good? Because maybe they're spooky on the tabletop.
They're kind of lawnmowers with legs. That's scary enough.
We'll come over here to the overhead. We can see what we're doing. So I'm getting ready. So I'm going to do a lot of dry brushing. So I'm getting my wet pad ready.
Sure.
Because, people say dry brushing, they're, you're expecting to have a very dry paint, but that works really well if you're painting desert bases, because then you actually get that dusty texture. But if your paint is too dry, you will just get dusty texture on your models.
If you take all the water out, there's no water in there.
There's no water, just
there's
like
no
the
water
desert.
in there. I am getting Mr. Carvili, dude. You got all the Horus Heresy. This guy cleared his queue of Horus Heresy and then got everything in the new box to build to paint up. My bone stuff. If you haven't seen me paint these undead guys earlier, big thing is I have this really lovely purple that goes into all my shadows. That's why he's starting purple, kind of, and I'm putting even more purple in here. We're wet blending into the shadows, and we build up with this kind of yellowy brown, and we just keep building up with that as we get into the highlights. So That's what I'm going to be doing.
There's a problem with these shades. They are the same exact colors that are on the model.
Well, that's great. I feel like that's
cancels it out.
I feel like that's a Squidmar video or something where he's got monochrome glasses or some stuff like that.
I will say, speaking of monochrome, that is a really good way of checking whether your model has enough contrast.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because often there's different kinds of contrast you can have. You can have value contrast, and you can have
Contrast of hue, contrast of surface, contrast of texture. Yeah, all sorts of things.
You can also have like contrast in how you're treating different surfaces. Like my Tau Fire Warriors and Breachers have a lot of black on them, and I paint different materials in oh god, I got a hair in my mouth in black, but I just highlight them differently, so they end up looking different. What color am I? So I'm working with ivory right now. It's Vallejo model color ivory. So I'm starting with a very, very bright. This is my white. This is as light as I'll get on this model. And I'm just trying to give the model definition, right? It was very dark from the undercoats. So I'm giving it this first highlight, and then I'm going to come in with all the other colors to build them up. So this gives me like a little bit of a pre-shade. But this is, a situation where you can't actually do this pre-shade with an airbrush, because if you do this with an airbrush, you're going to drown out all the other colors and lose a lot of the texture.
You can do it, but it's definitely not going to turn out the same. Yeah. Hey, Tycho.
Hey, Tycho. Tycho's coming to help too.
He's just licks the hell out of my jeans every time. It's very... Honestly, I just have to remember that this is a thing that dogs do, because it's so different from how my dog behaves. Not that it's an inappropriate thing to do. She just doesn't lick anybody.
Yeah. So Matt, what games have you been playing?
I have, man, I feel like I'm a broken record. I've just been playing a shit ton of Relicblade. I've been having a blast with it. People that have been showing up to play with us have been great. We kind of brought a new person into the fold who found us on the Relicblade Discord. He was in the looking for group channel, and Gavin snagged him up like, hey, dude, you're like 15 minutes from us, and we're starting a group.
Is this the person that also plays Sledge?
Also plays
Sledge.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it in Discord.
So it has... And he's got so many things and has been willing to share things. Everybody's been really willing to share a lot of models around so that we can all sort of try a bunch of different things out. And it's been really great to be playing a new game with people that are sharing a bunch of stuff. It's one of the benefits of having a really active club where we can all be in each other's business and helping each other out and sharing things constantly.
Yeah, I think we have a bingo card going. Oh, licked your brush again. Who had Matt licked his brush on their bingo card?
Oh, dude, you're gonna fill that card up real quick. I lick my brush all the time. I don't lick it when it's full of paint. That's my line in the sand. I don't lick it if it's full of paint.
And he doesn't lick the brushes he uses for oil painting. We talked about this.
Don't do that. That's cancer. And maybe a faster death. Who knows? In the best case scenario, it's cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Dude, Lily's just throwing me under the bus. I'm a dirty brush licker, Lily. I own it.
We're gonna need to
Dude, what are you doing?
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get him an activity.
I think he needs an activity. He's finding activities.
Otherwise he's gonna find whatever activity he thinks to do.
Oh man.
Go to bed.
Oh man, he's in trouble. When Addie pulls out the dad voice, you know it's rough. Ugh. I love that this guy's face is mostly like a skull that's turned inside out. It's deeply disturbing. Spooky wooky. Anybody else doing something spooky? Anybody got some cool Halloween plans? I feel like I'm the lamest adult. I live in a condo building. There's no kids that show up. There's no trick-or-treaters. Everybody in my building is like either 30 some years old or has or is like 60, I want to say, at least. It's a little like, wow. It means I'm the coolest person in the building. No, my wife is the coolest person in the building. Let's be honest.
We'll go back with the glasses.
Going back with the glasses? Yeah. Gonna see if we learn something. Oh man. But yeah, so it's been a lot of Relicblade for me as far as playing games. Trying to get new people in and trying it. I've been painting up. Well, we'll talk about that in the what we're painting section. But what have you been doing?
I have still not really played any games.
Oh, okay.
But our good friend, Delicious Relish, is going to teach me how to play AOS.
Monkey Man's going to teach you?
Yeah. I'm going to learn from the Monkey Man himself.
Love it. You know, pull out those vampires.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for the tractors, though.
It's going to be something.
They've got those John Deere tractors. They'll run you straight over.
I am worried, but I'm not too worried. I think they'll be great teachers and be very gracious, as I have not read any of the rules.
Very kind, very good teachers. Also, very good at the game,
which is good. That's who you want to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn from someone who knows what they're doing and able to, let you know when you're doing something dumb. Because I'll be doing lots of that.
Well, yeah. It's a weird game.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that you would need to strap in for the most if you're playing Age of Sigmar for the first time, is that it is a wild game. Everybody's got special rules out the butt. Like, every unit does something that is wild. And that's very fun and sometimes confusing. How's it going?
It's looking pretty good. I need a smaller brush to get in here.
Let's put you on the. I like the left. Put you on the left. Left. Let's show everybody your dry brushing, because I think it's turning out cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think we talked about it. Like, they're board game pieces. Like, they don't need to be extraordinarily detailed things. They need to look cool and like visually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to get one of the smaller brushes. Keep with the Artify brushes, just so I can really put these through the paces.
I think it's a good way to learn a thing too. Is tie your hands just ever so slightly.
Yeah. So this is even a little too big still to get in around all those spots.
Sure.
We'll go one size down. This is I'm really glad I got this set. It was like $30. You can get it on Amazon. It comes with 5 brushes. It comes with a little chunk of soap and
very cool.
And this sponge. This is actually what I wanted from it. Is this like little jar with a sponge?
It's just the sponge.
Yeah, but it comes in a little jar.
So it does come in a nice little jar.
It stays wet for a while. So whenever you're dry brushing, you just pop that open. Oh yeah, there we go. That's getting all in there. I'll stay in the camera. Try not to get my hair in the camera too.
You're good.
But it's good. This is good hair too. This is not my boring regular hair.
Your hair is never boring, Addy.
So I was supposed to get a haircut tomorrow, but I have to reschedule to Wednesday.
That was a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you getting some Age of Sigmar time in. I feel like there's been a lot of people that are not moving away from 40K, but I feel like the initial rush into 10th edition is very much done for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited to play my Tau with the Grand Narrative. It's been nice to like just knock out a few models.
Yeah, what have
really
you been
quickly.
what have you been painting?
So I almost finished a broadside completely, the second broadside for my army. All I have left on it is just I have to do some lenses and then the metallics after I varnish it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty nice. It's I got a base coat on the rest of the Fire Warriors I'm bringing.
Sure.
So I'm like everything that I'm working on has paint on it.
Mm-hmm.
So things are, they feel pretty hopeful to be done with time to spare.
Nothing feels less hopeful than somebody saying, "No, I'm pretty hopeful."
Pretty hopeful. Look at this. Okay. Also painting this monster, which is at this point, like I don't think I'm gonna dry brush anymore. I'm pretty happy with where this is. Like maybe just a little bit more here. That's a spot. The face.
Mm-hmm.
Face. It's not really a face, but the front tentacles. I think I want this a little brighter.
This is definitely the sort of model you're like, wait, is this the front or the back?
Yeah. Let's keep this here.
That's what you get with Eldritch Horrors. We got some tea. We got some candy. We've been trick-or-treating.
Yeah, I got cherry candy.
Little cherry gummies.
Um,
We'll chew directly into the microphone. Oh, dude. Monkey Man, I think that Trogs and Lil Gabos is such a match made in heaven for you. I'm surprised, like, you posted something about getting the Bad Moon Shrine, and I was just like, oh, this is the right match. It just fits like a glove. I hope you have a blast with them.
Yeah. I'm gonna catch up on chat. Lily, I'm excited to see your ghosts.
Oh, they look so good. Did you see when she posted them?
No.
Oh, they look so good.
They're
For her first models, it's just like, wow.
they're purple underneath, is that right?
So I only remember green,
Green.
but I could be wrong.
I know that when she started working with them, we talked about doing purple.
Could be both. Green and purple works.
It's purple.
Purple.
Remember.
That's what it is. What I have in my head looks really good, Lily.
And then we're gonna come here. So now that we got our base highlight, I'm gonna come back with this darker gray.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we'll start with this big brush. I'm not too worried about getting these paints mixed up a little bit. It's gonna be better than.
It's such a weird mix anyway. Like, you don't have to worry about
It's gonna be
hitting
better.
it perfect.
It's gonna be better than waiting for the brush to dry if I clean it.
Yeah, a little mixing here and there is actually probably going to be better for you in the long run.
So here I'm really only going after what I imagine are the crunchy bits.
Oh, the crunchy bits. Yeah, I think that's a good way to discern the biology of an Eldritch Horror. There are crunchy bits and there are chewy bits.
Yeah.
I would say. Maybe some soft bits.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna go crunchy and
this guy is mostly crunchy and chewy, I would say.
Yeah.
I have been painting. I got my second batch of Relicblade models in. I've been painting a bunch of dwarves. I painted one of the wizards up. I wasn't sure how I wanted to paint it. I looked at the box art that Malev did, and I went, I kind of want him to look just like that. And it is rare for me to look at box art and go, nope, that's a great idea. Nailed it. Yeah. Gooey, flexible, crunchy. Those are, think about your textures you're working with. I don't feel like any of these Tyranids or Lovecraftian monsters
Yeah, I mean,
would
maybe
be very delicious to eat.
I don't know. Maybe I like Tyranids.
Maybe you like Tyranids.
I never thought about it.
You like Lovecraft?
Yeah,
You like the chewy crunchies?
I do like the chewy crunchies. I want big brain bags
Sure,
and big shooty bags.
sure.
So you can see this is actually taking away a lot of those highlights I did, and that's on purpose. We're getting a little bit of it showing through.
The way you said it's still on purpose makes me doubt you.
This is, I mean, I was expecting to lose.
It's
a
gonna
lot of this.
cover. It's gonna
Right.
cover better over that though. You're gonna get more color out of it.
Yeah, we're gonna get more of the gray in the highlights and more of the purple in the shadows. And the thing is, like, I don't want the purple to be overwhelming here, right? It's just a subtle effect, and it's very fast to do, right? Like I prep this with an airbrush. You can do it with a hair brush, as I like to call them.
Hairbrush.
But right, all it is that you're picking a light source. So I went kind of like straight above with the purple and straight below with the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of you just go with it. You let it go where it wants to go. It was a little too much. Yeah, and then this looks like we're probably getting the end of where this brush fits. And now we'll go to the little brush.
Teeny tiny. It's a tough day to be a dog. Tycho. Ugh. I would say I'm regretting that I didn't paint this model sooner, because it definitely has a bunch of hair that has embedded itself into all of the paint.
Is it Tycho hair?
No.
Oh, I was hoping.
I have my own hairy beast at home.
Tycho likes to get his hair into
It's just embedded into every little painting project. I need to have some dog hair. That's just how it is. Someday, years from now, I'll be playing with these models, and I'll find a Dinah hair, and I'll be very sad. I'll start crying. That's just how it is sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
We're getting dark. Sorry. Keep it light.
Connor's trying to get me to play Tyranids. I did tell him that if I could make every model look like Cthulhu, I would probably do it.
Just work on your sculpting. There are no rules.
That's a lot of termagants, lots of gribblies to convert.
I mean, you're talking to a dude who sculpted beards on all of his space wolves.
Yeah, but that's an elite army. It's a small...
I don't think you play Space Marines, sir. That is not an elite army.
It's an elite horde instead of a horde. I think that's how we break it down now. Okay, so we got this gray carrot. This is like carrot paste. Hey, Tycho. Touch. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, Eddie doesn't know, Dan. He doesn't get it. Beards on all space wolves is a gnarly commitment.
My arm is starting to get sore.
From
I got my COVID booster and my my flu shot today.
At least you got different arms,
Nope,
right?
same arm.
Same arm.
Yeah.
Man, they're sadists there.
I told them, I'm like, I'd rather one arm hurt a lot than both arms hurt a little.
And they went, "You fool!"
I'm like, okay, it's your funeral.
That's very brave.
I did pick the side I don't sleep on.
I feel like I miss the days where I got a little like lollipop at the end of getting my shots. I feel like there shouldn't be really like the statute of limitations on those or whatever. Like everybody likes that.
I mean, they give you 10% off your groceries. If you
Oh man, we went
You could buy so many lollipops for that.
grocery shopping in a new place, and I found out that there's Kit Kat cereal.
What?
Well, no, I didn't find out. I was walking down the hall or down the aisle with my wife, and CJ goes, "Oh my God, Kit Kat cereal!" And I saw, those moments where you see in your partner the 10-year-old version of them. And I know I've been there. I've been with her so long. Like, I know her mom didn't let her have like Lucky Charms as a kid because it was too sugary. So I see the 10-year-old kid that sees Kit Kat cereal, her favorite candy bar, in a breakfast cereal. And I go, let's get the Kit Kat cereal. And she's like, no. And I'm like, get the Kit Kat cereal. Come on. We're adults. We've got Kit Kat cereal money. I will report back on just it. I'll report back on the quality of the cereal. It might be garbage, but it's worth it no matter what.
Yeah. Okay. So I tried to mix in a little bit of rack flesh into this, and it did nothing. So we're going bright.
Value, baby.
So what we're gonna do?
We're going to Value Town.
Yeah, we're gonna go all the way back to our white, which is ivory here. But I'm gonna use this this really dirty brush. This is gonna be like, I'm gonna mix it with whatever's left on here, and I don't mind that.
Okay.
Right.
I love that for you.
So it's gonna be a little darker. Oh, it's gonna be much darker than I thought. Let's see how this works though. Let's see. Is this? Will this? Yeah. This is perfect. So now I'm only going downwards on the model. So now we're really trying to highlight at this point. Like we're not trying to get everything, just trying to get the upward facing surfaces. And this is kind of exactly the color I wanted. It's this very gray.
It's not a pretty color.
No, it's not. Not at all. It's very gray, but it has some like purples in it. And what I wanted to do next, I'm going to make it also a little green. I have some very bright greens here. I have some warpstone and mood green. And then that I'm actually going to dry brush, and we'll see. I'm going to dry brush upwards to give it a little bit of that like underglow.
Sure. That all makes sense to me. Let's see. The other day I was sitting there and I had the desire, after I've been painting all of these Relicblade models, this has never happened to me before, I had the desire to do some brainless batch painting.
Wow.
Like, so I sat there and I pulled out my Votan Berserks and I just painted black on them. Just black the whole time. And nice and clean. But it felt so good to only have one color on my wet palette for some reason. I don't know. And then it felt really good to be like, oh, now I've got them all blacked out. I just have to do the white armor on them. And then I just have to do, and I got into the spot. I like cracked through the layer that was making them impossible to paint, Every once in a while, you just got to get through that hump. And I feel like those guys are like 90% hump. So much skin.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what models I have that are just hard to like just get through that step.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Space Marine like Tacticus armor, it's not specifically intercessors or any of that, but like when
intercessors, but also intercessors,
but also intercessors are included when you're like on model like 30 and you've painted nothing else since like before that.
Yeah.
It gets hard.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with how big your batch is at that point, but
yeah.
I don't disagree with you. There are points where you're just like, I know for me it's like I edge highlight. When you edge highlight your Space Marines and you're sitting there and you're like, this is almost done, but I have to edge highlight everything. Oh no.
Yeah, Mr. Cavilli, I know Gene Stealers have tentacle heads, but I need like 200 tentacle heads. You can take that out of context. That's
Tentacle heads?
tentacle heads. That's normal.
Is the normal amount?
That's people say that all the time.
People say that all the time. I've been hearing them say that all night.
Yeah, I've heard that for sure. So so this spot right here got way too gray. So we're just gonna fix it.
I kind of like having the bright in there.
I'm gonna do this. I'm probably gonna come back with the highlight gray and just hit that one that's dry. I don't want it that flat. The other side isn't that flat. It just kind of, I hate it. So one of the things, right, when as you're wetting your dry brush, if it's a little too wet, that's what you end up with kind of a mess. I'm gonna try to catch up on chat while I let this dry.
Sure. If you want to throw the camera on me.
Yeah, let's see what Matt's doing.
Oh, as you can see, I am busy painting all of this dull brown and purple on this big bony boy. Trying to use the biggest brush I can because there's a lot of bone to be had here. And I think the biggest thing that I've picked up with these guys is just like, hey, if you're painting a lot of boring stuff, find any excuse you can to work some color into it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, it's gonna be a bunch of bone and dark paints and everything else. Like, okay, we're gonna have this bright, like punchy purple as the shadow, and I need another bright color. Well, I'm just gonna put this in the mix. I'm going to make the bases glow a little bit because we need something that just makes them not gray and brown and purple.
Yeah. I mean, it just looks so good. Like, you can, it's probably hard to see on camera, but if you're looking at the bottom of the bones, you keep that purple color.
Yeah.
It's still there.
You keep it there. I keep working it in whenever I can. Like, it is so bright. It's this, what is it? It's golden so flat, dioxazine violet.
Oh.
So we got a single pigment color,
Yeah.
which means it is very punchy. Like, I touched it to my water over here and it just turned bright purple. It really glows in there and it really makes the whole thing kind of work for me. I've got the other base color I have is this golden brown, dark golden brown from Pro Acryl, which I love because it's just got this crazy, it's kind of yellow sometimes, it's kind of green sometimes. It mixes with this purple and makes this sort of richer brown from time to time. It's just a wild color to work with. Oh yeah, lavender lemonade. It is not delicious. It is non-toxic, but it is not for drinking.
Yeah. I did buy this brush set. Here's the box. I'm gonna hold it.
Yeah.
This way where you can see it.
I'll get out of your way a little bit.
It's Artify is the brand. You can get it on Amazon. I wish we should make one of those. What is it? Affiliate links. I really like them. For $30 you get 3 dry brushes, and they're good. They're solid brushes. So far, I've really liked working with them. And my favorite thing, absolute favorite thing, and I would definitely buy the set again for this one brush. It's this. It's what is their number 3. It is itty bitty.
Itty bitty.
But I use this a lot. This is how I fix my airbrush work.
Oh, sure.
If I
know that spooked you in the past too.
Yeah. So like if you've seen my airbrush models, they almost always have a gradient in the armor, which is very hard to reproduce. But if I mess that up, the only way that I found to fix it is either make it battle damage or use a very small dry brush and stipple the paints and just blend them back and forth until you get it to look right. And
I've done that move.
Yeah, Connor, definitely. Like old makeup brushes, I do have a set of old makeup brushes. Of actually new makeup brushes. Cheap makeup brushes.
New cheap ones, yeah.
And there are just a couple of shapes that I really like, and all the other shapes they're
okay. They're okay. I think that's the tricky thing with those. It is like, if you don't have $30 to spend, you don't have $30 to spend, and that is super duper okay. There's no reason why you need these brushes. I would say that a lot of the makeup brushes I have are either like too long from the ferrule or really short to the ferrule, and sometimes I like that, but sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Like I really like some of them for stippling. It's I think they're cheap to get, but if you still end up doing some I've done some experimenting to find the ones that I like.
Yeah.
Over the ones that I don't like.
Yeah.
Which is the same. It's the same thing with these. You know, you could buy this $30 set and be like, nah, I don't like them.
Yeah. But one of the things was that, these look a lot like Artist Opus brushes. They're not the same. Artist Opus brushes have much shorter bristles. They're very stubby.
They're also like $50 more expensive.
Oh, I think it's more than that.
Yeah, I don't know because I haven't considered it.
Yeah, I looked at them. They are. I was either going to buy 3 dry brushes from Artist Opus or a new airbrush.
Yikes!
Yeah, they're very expensive, and they actually. I've never used them. Our friend Mike has.
And wasn't a fan.
No, he says they dry brush very poorly. They stipple really well.
Sure, that's fair. I like a stipple.
Need more paper. One of the things that I tend to forget to do when I'm dry brushing is clean my brushes. Because, like, oh, it's dry brush. I don't want to get it wet because I want to keep working with it. But I've had several times where I've had a long session and I dry brush some stuff, and then I left paint on the dry brush, and it was hell to get it out later.
Well, I know. What is it? Byron, artist from Artist Opus. He says he doesn't clean it with water. He cleans it by dry brushing it or like getting it a little damp, because if you get water, it can get up into the ferrule. I don't know. He's got a lot of rules about it, but obviously what he's doing works for him. So like, I'm not gonna say that he doesn't know what he's doing, because he's a much better dry brusher than I ever was, but or ever really will be. But I don't 100% know the logic behind everything that he's doing. I'm sure if he were to come here and work a workshop, he could tell me all the reasons why he does the things he does.
Yeah, I think that some of it is probably just to keep, like once you get your brush wet, you got to wait for it to dry.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting on to the fleshy bits.
Let me switch back to you and your fleshy bits. Oh, I just transitioned to the same thing.
Oh no, we're on me.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is interesting. I initially, when I was going to paint this, I was like, maybe I'll just do like a monocoat theme, or not monochrome theme.
Sure.
Where each model is one color. And the more I thought about it, especially with these bigger monsters, it feels I feel like you're missing something when you do that.
Dude, but I understand the drive to do a monocolor, because like, as we've joked about many times, they are very challenging to read, as is the point with Lovecraftian monsters. They should defy explanation, but also I have to paint them, so
they should look cool. So I'm doing, I'm doing 2 materials. I'm looking here. There's some like claws, like there's some nails. I think I might come back with the ivory, maybe the rack of flesh. Like
Sure.
I'm not gonna go to the other room and get any more paints. Than I
No
have
more
right
paints.
here. This is
I've got some paints over here if they must happen.
but that's the
I
goal.
got some ice yellow for you, baby.
I was gonna use ice yellow, but I got ivory instead. And I'm actually kind of glad because I think I like that extra brightness that it gives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me have these. I do really want to make a dry palette. That's the thing that like I have simulated a dry palette, right, where I'm using just some other surface that's not paper, and it does seem to work a lot better at just not soaking up too much paint off the brush.
Yeah, I've heard Byron go off on a tirade about like, no, it's not the point. They're too textured, and you're going to get dusty in there, and you don't want dust in there. And he might be right, but I also feel like he's kind of got a stake in not having people make their own texture palettes. So like, I don't know how far I can trust him with it.
Yeah, I mean, don't make your own. Buy his.
Buy his.
So
he might have a point. I don't know.
I think the texture palettes that I've seen that probably make the most sense to me that you would make is you take your cheapest texture paste and you just slather some of it down on something, and that's it.
Yeah, I think I do think having a bunch of the models on there, it does leave some spots for you to like gather dust. Because I'd gather enough dust when I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I have, especially. So I have this habit of not painting all my models.
What?
I know it's very unique.
Nobody does that.
Most people, have different habits.
Where they paint all of their models right
away.
away.
They have, and they don't keep anything spare for a rainy day.
Flint does that, and I don't know how. I'm not sure he's human. Like, he just failed his own Turing test with that one.
But I will build models and prime them, and then leave them in a box. So like I have all of my like bigger box sets. I'll use the two halves of the box to store models. And I end up with real dusty models. And that's what I use all the makeup brushes I don't like for.
That's true.
I use it to dust my models because if you go, it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't really do much. No. I have granted, I have the infinite luxury of having a studio that I paint in often. But if I have my models that I'm not carrying around with me all the time, I have them on a shelf at my studio, and I put a garbage bag over them. And it feels kind of bad to have these models that I've worked so hard on that are in a garbage bag. But you know what? I opened them up the other day to look at something, and it was nice and tidy still. So, you know.
I mean, I do have my Detolf inside. It seems to keep them pretty dust free. I mean, it's not sealed in any way. But I feel like the majority of the dust doesn't really get in there. So I'm pretty happy about that. I know that they're being discontinued. I don't know what's happening if you can get more. Still, but you know, if you have room for it, I would definitely recommend one. Oh, what's happening there?
I like the fleshy bits coming in through there. That's good. I think especially when you start working the green into the rest of it, it's gonna start looking tight.
This is exactly how I wanted it to look. I get.
Isn't that a magical thing when you're experimenting and you're just like, oh hey, it's working. It's all working.
Just knock it off there. I'm so excited.
I also break all my models, so I get excited.
I can't tell if I don't think I chipped.
It's impossible to tell them.
have to. I think what I'll do though is I will touch this. There's like a spot that's really light, and it shouldn't be that light.
Well, if you don't like it, then you can always paint over it anyway.
Yeah. So
whether you chipped it or not.
I'm just gonna touch. I'm gonna fix this with my regular brush here.
There we go. No rules. No reason you can't use a regular brush.
Yeah. You have to remember that once you do that, you want to wait. It's gonna be pretty wet there.
Yeah.
So don't paint that spot again.
It is always worth waiting. There's never a reason to rush. If you ever have the feeling that, oh, I think I'm going to rush a little bit. Oh, maybe I can just like squeak this out right now. You are not in frame.
There you go.
Back in frame. There you go. Let's see. I think, oh no, I need to get some purple shadows up here. But then I think we're going to be moving on to highlighting all this bone. Man, it takes forever. Highlights move faster, though.
I'm always surprised by how fast my edge highlights go.
When you're just like, oh, I have much less of the model to paint with these subsequent steps.
Okay.
So much of this is bone, though.
So let's see this trick. Can I clean the brush off without... If I just touch it to water?
I would use like your damp paper towel or something like that, and then dry brush with it.
So with this, I touched this to the water, just the tip of it.
Sure, just the tip.
And then quickly went to the paper, and you can see it all soaked out, but it looks like almost all the pigment came out of the brush. Like to the point where I'm just gonna go to the next color with the same brush.
Wild, man.
Living on the edge here.
Living on the edge while miniature painting.
Oh, Lily, what's a static brush? Can you tell me about that?
Is it like a brush you'd use for like records or stuff like that? I don't know. I'm intrigued though. For whatever reason, I just imagine you like rubbing a balloon along a cat and then bringing it up to your mouth. I don't think that's what you're doing, but that's all I can imagine. I have a limited imagination.
Yeah, it's pet-based imagination. Oh, it's so fleshy.
I like how orange it gets in there with the pink. Like, it does look like flesh, and it even looks like healthy flesh, but it doesn't look...
Not how I want.
It's not right. Yeah. It's not right. There's something wrong with that.
Yeah, I purposely picked my, like, two reddest flesh tones. I got this set at one of our... It's a local scale model shop. What
shop is it?
It is.
Was it the airport? Oh God, something windy, airy.
No. It's down. It's down in the south end. It's really close to here, to where I live, and it is called.
Don't you dox yourself?
Model, like hobby. It's not Hobby Town. That's a chain. It's like model store, basically. Like it's not a special name.
Jim's Model Store.
Yeah, and the guy that runs it he's a very nice gentleman. Knows a ton about paints and techniques and airbrushes. Super helpful. Super nice. And it's, you go there like on a Saturday afternoon, and it's all these older guys that are like have been building models for years, that are there to like pick
into
up
airplanes and tanks.
Yeah, a little bit of sci-fi stuff.
Ships.
With like not Gundams, but just like spaceship kind of things. That's as close as we get to this stuff.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
But they have Vallejo paints on the shelf, so you can get stuff. They have all sorts of like enamels and oils and just things that are surprisingly hard to find at some of the other shops in the area.
And it's funny how the hobby has different genres in it.
Yeah.
Like, you talk to trained modelers and they use some techniques, but then other things they've never heard of. I think there's, I don't know. It's why I like to wander outside of normal GW stuff, because you pick up other techniques and other things that work really well. Painting skulls that are embedded in this guy's neck. It's anti-static brush, and the big side is good for most things, but they do have an itty bitty brush inside the handle. I love that. That makes a lot of sense.
Just looking at the time. I think I have enough time to paint these nails. I'm going to do these nails.
Oh man.
And
this shorter time limit we're putting on the stream, man, is good for the algorithm, but I'm not going to finish a model.
But we can hang out. I don't have to run anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll get this on here. So one of the things that I decided as a way to speed up these models is I'm not doing any washes. Now you say like washes are supposed to make your painting go faster, which if you're painting an army, that's probably true, right? Because you can do a unit, like, and by the time you're done washing the last model, the first one's dry, and you can keep going with your scheme. But if you're doing these one-offs, if I had to put a wash on this, like I'd have to wait at least a couple minutes before going to the next step.
And it's got some deep crevices.
Yeah.
You might need to wait much longer than that.
So this actually lets me move pretty fast, and fast enough that I'm even saying like I'm gonna do a little extra step here that I wasn't planning to.
Wow.
Painting the nails. These are nails.
Crunchy bits.
Yeah, crunchy bits. And then the cool thing is that I can highlight all of this with the same color in the end. It's all going to get that ivory dry brush.
Sure.
It is going to, it's right, I'm sticking with the idea of like a kind of a monotone still. Right, we're not painting. There's so many different surfaces that I could paint on here, and so much detail that I could add. But I think that in terms of a game piece, this is going to read really well. Like it's going to be obviously
something bad.
Yeah,
this is bad. If I were a player and you pulled that out, I would go,
no thanks.
No thanks.
Put your hand forward.
Put it back in the box where it can't hurt me or my sanity.
That's the sort of the question that I now have for the rest of everything. Like I wonder, so there's all the investigators, those are the player characters. Like, do those get painted to a higher standard than the monsters?
I don't feel like it.
I forgot to do the green. I have to do the green from underneath.
I think they're just people. They're gonna get chewed up and spit out in various iterations when you're playing that game. I don't know if they deserve to be painted to a higher standard. Maybe if we survive with one of them,
yeah,
that's the time that you paint them to a higher standard.
I mean,
otherwise you leave them zenithal or something like that.
Yeah, that might be what I might do. Is do the purple and blue,
sure,
and then come in with like a sepia type color. Ooh. and dry brush the whole thing, and then maybe do one other highlight to that as a dry brush.
I like that. Sitting here painting ribs.
We're coming in here with the green a little bit. I'm basically doing the opposite of what I'm going to do with the highlights. Just trying to hit the bottoms. Kind of give it.
I'm glad you're doing the dry brushing bonanza. I am so mediocre when it comes to dry brushing. just one of those skills that I don't think I ever got wrapped up in the thought process of like dry brushing is a beginner technique, but it is something that I'm like, I'm not interested in learning more of it because it's not something that I have fine control over. And then I got an airbrush and I'm like, well, I really don't need a dry brush most of the time.
You know, at the end of the day, very many of the models that I put on the table get dry brushed, at least for one of the steps. And I think that it is very undervalued as a technique because we look at it as, oh, well, it's a beginner technique. It's very easy. And yes, it's easy to get results on certain models with it. Like this is like comically easy to dry brush because it has so much texture. Like you don't even really have to do very much. Like even just the base coat with that with the ivory dry brush looked fine. Like I actually could have left the model there, and for a game piece I think it would have looked good. Like people would have been like, oh, that's fun to play with.
I think the I think that touches on my thoughts around it. Are like something that exists in the miniature painting world that does not exist in the art world is the thought that if a technique is harder, it is better. Because, like, if you finish dry brushing a thing and it looks good, it looks good. Who cares? You're done. And it looks good. Now, if it looks better than, or even if you like the way it looks better than you like the way your models look when you spend 45 minutes trying to get perfect creamy blends on it but struggling the whole time, then like that's not necessarily the thing, or certainly not the thing for every time. And like nobody who's actually painting has that mindset. They might have the mindset of like, well, you should be able to do a blend in other ways. You should have that skill available to you. But it's not because you use this skill, it's cheapened the results. That's just not something that happens.
No. Not at all. And there we go. So let's see, I got 3 minutes. I got the green on there that I forgot about. And now I'm going to come back. I'm going to do one last highlight over the whole thing again.
Super light on that, probably, right?
Yeah. So
because you got all this nice color, and I wouldn't want to wash it out totally.
No, I want it to mostly like to be light enough that it just blends in.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we're actually going kind of back to where we started in a way, but with all this color underneath. And this should give us like just a final pop. I'm also not going to worry about getting into all the crevices, right? This is a highlight. So if my brush can't fit, that place doesn't need a highlight.
Wild. You're not supposed to turn it upside down, climb inside it, and it's a gaming piece.
Well, it's spooky. 2 minutes to spare.
Woo! You beat me. To the surprise of nobody in the chat.
I don't know. I'm a pretty slow painter.
I'm getting faster. I just have this is the way that I like it, and this is how long it's going to take me to get to the thing that I like.
Yeah, and that's I glad I got to do some dry brushing today. It's something I haven't done in a while, just because I really haven't had models that that called for it. And
if you were trying to paint that with a normal brush, you'd lose your goddamn mind. Like, that's not what that's for.
We'll show everyone what you're working on, where you're getting at.
Oh man, I'm just
frame
hitting all I am just hitting all the highlights on this guy with the bone. I've done my whole bone step all the way around, but I am not going to finish this model, and that is okay. We'll finish her up next time, or I'll finish it up when I'm off stream, or whatever else. We'll wrap it up. That's not the point of this stream. The point of the stream is to hang out with all you lovely people, and hang out with my friend Addie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the metrics. Please like and subscribe if you're still here.
We forgot to say
Boy,
that.
we forgot that. We're bad at that. We're bad YouTubers.
Yeah, if you watch this far, you really should like.
You really should, because if you're still here and you're not, like, woof. That speaks poorly about you. That speaks worse about you than it does about us. Personally disappointed in you. Do better. Just hitting all the little vertebras. Working my way through it.
This is so interesting because this would be like a perfect model to dry brush.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like, you could 100% dry brush this model. I like the effect that I get when I am just tapping at it, because I feel like it ends up with a more cartoony result. And I really like that look in all of my what was it?
Relicblade.
Oh, with all my Relicblade. It's like, even if I'm not doing a super cell shaded look, I like it looking a little cartoony.
Yeah. We can show that. I'll show mine.
Yeah.
Show everyone where I ended up, and we'll also post this on on Instagram. But this is there we go. So I'm super happy with how this turned out and how fast this was to just get a gaming piece done. So I can finish painting everything I need for the scenario, probably in like 1 or 2 days to get, to just get this on the board, play a game. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not going to go back and fix any mistakes at this point. It just looks spooky.
Looks super spooky. A weird looking thing. I love our weird hobby. We can spend an hour painting a tentacle monster. Nobody's doing a wellness check on you. Spend an hour painting a tentacle monster in a lilac wig with color shift glasses.
I wish
God knows what's up.
I wish I could wear these the whole time. They actually just kind of cancel out all the colors on the model.
Yeah, it's I don't think even our colorblind friends would demand you to hop into their own handicap. So thanks everybody for coming by. I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Until next time.
Next time.
Bye.
Later, everyone.